This is The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. With your host, Tyson Gifford and William Rowick. Episode 117. Recorded July 20th, 2017. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. I am your host and the editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast. My name is Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is my partner in crime here at TVE and my co-host on the podcast, William Rowick.
Hello.
So, today we are going to be talking about Twin Peaks, as usual. We're also going to be talking about a little kind of unknown show that just came back this week. But before that, we're going to go over some news because it's Comic-Con. Comic-Con just started today, so tons of new stuff starting to come out. A lot of the TV stuff hasn't hit yet, but I'm sitting here refreshing
It's starting, like the floodgates are starting to open.
Yeah, I'm just refreshing my browser constantly on trying to see if anything new pops up.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm doing, kind of. I'm just like, and yeah, we already got some like very interesting information coming out of Comic-Con.
So let's
TV
start
wise.
off. We got a few small stories, and then they're going to kind of go up in scope, I guess. When they start getting towards the end, like they're all kind of like equally crazy or something. So, so start off. Here's a really small one. Taboo has a planned 3-season run. This was just announced.
Bad.
So,
I was just musing on how stuff well, people were complaining about certain animes like One Piece or something that go on forever, and I was kind of musing, I was kind of saying, I think stuff should have a defined end instead of going forever. Like I said, 5 seasons, 3 seasons sounds reasonable if that's the story they want to tell. I'm kind of glad that they're like kind of saying, this isn't a thing that we plan to go on forever and ever until like people stop watching it or we run out of money to fund it. So that's good. That means there's an ending to look forward to, that hopefully at the end of 3 seasons you will have a complete story, and there won't be like forced cliffhangers that you get from like unexpected cancellations and or like the need to just keep it going.
I don't think it's been officially picked up for 3 seasons.
I don't think it has either. So that's still
second season. It's just a 3-season plan.
Right.
So I mean, it could still be canceled before it gets there.
Canceled before it gets there, yeah, which would be really crappy, but
it happens.
It happens. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can't.
But yeah, it's a 3-season plan that was announced. That's kind of a small story. Now here's, there's 2 stories here. Season 2 of Legion's going to be 10 episodes. It's confirmed. That seems a little on the short side, but remember the first season, I believe, was 8 episodes.
I think it was. I can't remember. And also, people say that's short. I'm used to. We're starting to see more and more shows like have this kind of format. I just watched Glow on Netflix. That was 10 episodes. There was this nice show on HBO that I just watched. It was like 8 episodes. Game of Thrones actually this season is supposed to be just 7 episodes. And Game of Thrones itself is typically a 10-episode season show. So
we had a ton of shows that were 8 episodes this year too. I mean,
yeah, this year. So if 10 episodes seem short, I don't think that's short anymore. That's starting to become average length for premium cable non-network programming.
Maybe even on the long side.
Yeah.
With the way things are moving.
With the way things are moving, yeah. And, like I've said in the past, I'm all for this. If they think their story fits 10 episodes, go cut out the fat, cut out the filler. A lot of these network shows that have to have like 24 episodes per year, that includes just a ton of filler that really like if you're ever watching a show and you see an episode and you think, God, what was was the point of that? What they didn't even do anything with the main plot. Well, yeah, it's because they're trying to pad out the, so
Yeah,
this is good.
I'm for short run. I'm all for short runs, and I'm also in favor of just a show running the length that it needs to run. That the showrunners feel they need to run the show for.
Exactly.
If the showrunners feel like they need more, then I'm all for them having more. If they feel like they need less, I'm all for them having less.
Exactly.
I
Totally.
don't want the showrunners to be forcing content that they don't really care about writing.
So this is a trend that I'm loving because overall I think it has led to better television, in my opinion.
It also came out with Legion that Saeed Tagmawi, I believe, I don't know if that's how his name's pronounced, who was in Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
Amal Farouk, aka the Shadow King.
It's pretty cool. He's coming off of this from Wonder. He was one of the standouts in Wonder Woman from the supporting cast, in my opinion. I really loved his character in that movie. He did such a great job that, when I saw him, so when I saw the picture of him, I didn't know his name from the movie, but when I saw his picture, I was like, okay, I know that guy. I think he'll be great in this.
So it's Amal Farouk, who is supposedly, I think, the original Shadow King. This is the one that battled with Professor Xavier.
Right.
With Legion, who knows how this is going to play? It could be that we see him as just some delusion or vision. It could also be that we might see a flashback relating to earlier events. We might even see the Professor X duel. There was a lot of talk about them reaching out to both Patrick Stewart and James McAvee about possibly playing Professor Xavier in Legion. So it could be something related to that. I mean, there's lots of possibilities there. But yeah, it's definitely cool. We're going to have, I think, 3 faces for the Shadow King now, basically. Well, 4 if you count the demon with yellow eyes.
Right, yeah. That was a trip. I'm excited to see what they do with the second season of Legion. In Holly we trust.
So next piece of news, this is another relatively kind of small piece, which is that Mr. Robot creator Sam Esmail has said that the theme for season 3 will be disintegration, which he describes as Elliot's struggle to regain control from those who used him.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Mr. Robot from the second season, by the time that the second season of Mr. Robot ended, I realized that this show is much more of a slow burn than I expected it to be. That it even seems on the surface. It seems like there's a lot happening, but the overall plot is kind of moving very slowly.
It's a bit opaque and it's a bit esoteric and dark, and I like that about it.
Right.
I liked the second season, I think, more than the first season. I know some people really didn't, but to me, it's I liked the second season better for the same reasons I like the second season of Hannibal better.
I really think of the second season of Mr. Robot is the show's kind of coming out party. Because the first season is really hamstrung in its concept by the fact that you spend the majority of it being led to believe this lie, which is basically that Mr. Robot and Elliot are 2 separate people. And at the end of it, towards the end of the season, you're hit with the reveal. So they weren't really allowed to do a lot with that in the first season. So they kind of used the second season to really go all out with Elliot's mental state and, presenting Elliot as an unreliable narrator, having him showing his battles with Mr. Robot, sort of like his mental battles. They really go all in on that. So that's what makes season 2 better to me, is the fact that we've got this little deception out of the way, and so now we can really play with the concept, and that's what I liked. So I'm sure season 3 will even go further into esoteric territory. I'm expecting season 3 to even be a much more wild ride than season 2.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Because I really dug the tonal shift from season 1 to season 2. And I say that not it's not that I dislike season 1. I love season 1. But season 2 surprised me. Season 2 went in a very different direction than what I was expecting. And I loved that. So if they're keeping up in that direction or changing course again with season 3, who knows? I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Oh, yeah.
So our next piece of news, probably our absolute craziest piece of news from the whole bunch, One Piece, the famous manga and anime series from Japan, is getting a live action television series, or at least one's in development, but might not actually come to fruition. This is going to be executive produced by Marty Adelstein, who worked on the new Prison Break Resurrection series.
Who has seen this coming? Like One Piece. I mean, in a way,
this is a Western One Piece live action series too.
It makes sense to me if this was like a Japanese show, but like, is One Piece like actually like popular here? I don't recall the anime or manga being like very big over here. Like,
it's popular here, but not as big as it is in Japan.
Well,
but
I mean,
more importantly, it's a worldwide popular thing. It's popular all across the globe.
You hear people like talk about like Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
That really crossed the threshold into the mainstream. You know, I've never seen One Piece talked about or revered in like the same breath as like the way Dragon Ball Z is over here.
Yeah, over here, I don't think One Piece is as big as Dragon Ball Z. In Japan and worldwide, it's much bigger than Dragon Ball ever was. Like, the volume sales on One Piece are way higher than what you'd get on Dragon Ball. I mean, they're higher than like Harry Potter and stuff in Japan. It's like a huge thing, you know, and it continues to be for, they're celebrating 20 years for the manga right now. And it continues to be a huge, just massive hit. So it is big here in America. It's not Dragon Ball Z big, but like, I don't think there's any anime that's gotten as big in America as Dragon Ball Z. That's like, nothing's gotten that big. And that includes like really successful stuff like Ghost in the Shell and Akira and stuff. None of those have gotten as big as Dragon Ball Z has. So that's kind of to be expected, I guess. But worldwide, it's huge, and into this worldwide market. I mean, you look at a show like Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones is like, you can say it's an American show because it's from HBO and the producers are American and stuff, but most of the actors are European. It films like Iceland and like all over the world, basically, and it airs everywhere, you know? It's like that kind of thing, you know? It's a worldwide show. So, you know, if they're taking that approach, then worldwide, One Piece is a huge thing.
Right.
But I have no idea how they're going to translate this to a live action series, because they'd have to throw out almost everything about the series, including the characters, in order to make it. Because the one thing that you can take about One Piece that's really grounded and can be turned into something really interesting as a live action series, there's so much world building in One Piece. It's really well done. And there's things like the world government and the structure of that and kind of the corruption behind the scenes of that. All that kind of stuff could lend itself to a good live action series.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, there's a lot.
The main characters, everything, none of those work. Like, I just can't imagine us seeing a guy with rubber arms, like, you know, that's like a complete moron, but like, you know, lovable, and just like launches his arms off.
Well, he's kind of like stereotypical, lovable, kind of moronic, happy-go-lucky, very happy-go-lucky kid with this mission. You know, he's gonna find the One Piece treasure. He's gonna be the greatest pirate. You know, it's pretty prototypical shonen manga. Like,
yeah, I can't see how that could translate.
Yeah, I
see how that can translate.
There's like
all. I mean, unless they made it like a kid's show, or they went like really cartoonish with it, like, you know, like how Kimmy Schmidt's like really cartoonish,
right?
Kind of took attacks like that, which I can't imagine they would do, because a show like One Piece would probably require a pretty large budget to pull off, and that combined with that kind of like wackier style, which is not going to appeal to as many people. I just can't see how that's going to work. I mean, honestly, the best way I could see One Piece working is if they scrapped like all the characters and basically just took the world and like all the developments and the idea of pirates and, you know, the idea of eccentric characters, but not necessarily the same eccentric characters. I could see it like being like a huge thing, you know, but I just have no idea. This is just like a crazy idea. That might be all it is too. It might just be an idea. That might be what it's limited to. There might be nothing that comes of this.
I mean, basically what this news is like a production company picked up the rights to produce this as a TV series. That's it. I mean, it's got a long way to go before like it's a reality. I mean, production companies buying up rights to stuff for a TV series doesn't mean like it's like it's happening. That's what there's still like there's a lot that has to happen. You know, first of all, they need to find somebody who's good. You know, somebody who's gonna finance it, produce it. You know, they need to get like a Warner Brothers or something to back
or
them.
and a network, and I mean
they have to do that. Then they have to cast actors, get a director, shoot a pilot.
Even before that, the producer of the series is a television producer. He is not a writer.
Right. They have to get.
So they need a showrunner.
They have to get a showrunner. They have to get writers. They have to get actors, directors. They have to shoot a pilot, and then they have to shop that pilot around, and then that pilot has to get picked up by a network. And it's a lot.
They bypass the pilot thing sometimes. A lot of pilots get bypassed nowadays, but even still, there's so many steps.
Well, like rarely is something picked up from concept to series like that.
It's usually just because somebody has a name.
Right. It's usually because
we have another story coming up later on, our last news story, where that's related to.
Yeah, they segue into that because that did happen recently.
We'll do that. That's our last story because we have two more before that.
Okay, but but it's obvious why this. I mean, I don't see anybody looking at One Piece and going, you know what? I don't even need to see the pilot or anything about it. Unless like they get like the fucking showrunner of Breaking Bad,
Vince Gilligan.
Yeah, unless Vince Gilligan fucking decides to do this, that's not happening.
Breaking waves. Yeah, you'd need a Vince Gilligan, or you'd need like Dan and Dave from Game of Thrones, or somebody connected to like The Walking Dead, or something. You'd need a huge name attached.
Yeah.
And it would have to be in it like either a reasonable budget or with an idea that the people at the studio are really interested in. Which I don't see how that would work. So I honestly, I don't think this is going to go anywhere.
No.
But it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. It is fascinating that this is a thing. Apparently recently, I'm sure we discussed this already. Also recently, Cowboy Bebop was optioned for an American television series. Haven't heard anything about that since I think that was back in May. I'm not either May or like early June that news came out. I haven't heard anything else about that either, but again, there's going to be a lot of work to bring that to be an actual series. So that was just announced recently. So you won't hear anything else about that. So it's going to be a while before we get any more news about this One Piece show. If we even hear anything else about this.
I just got some breaking news in here.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Which will be old news by the time that this is available, but it's breaking for us. So, Olan Rogers has a TV show, an animated series coming to TBS called Final Space, and they just announced that the two leads of the series will be David Tennant, who is the 10th Doctor. We also know him as Kilgrave in Jessica Jones.
Who's also Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's the 10th Doctor, yeah. And Gina Torres, who we know from Firefly and Serenity, have been announced as the lead characters or lead actors in this new animated series.
Oh, nice.
So Tennant's doing quite a bit of voice work because he's also doing Scrooge McDuck on the new DuckTales.
He is. The great freaking choice for Scrooge McDuck, too.
But next piece of news here, Stargate Origins is in development. This is a series about the origins of the Stargate program. So this is going to be like, way before the regular timeline of the series. We're talking like 1940s, 50s, like around that time when they're like basically setting up everything. But what's really interesting about this is that it's going to debut on a new streaming service called Stargate Command that's specific to that franchise. So not only do we have like these things like CBS All Access that are like a one channel streaming service, but now we have like a one franchise streaming service. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is, I don't know who's gonna subscribe to that. Like, really? I mean,
depends on how much it costs.
Like, I guess $2. I would be in, not even like for $5 because it's like one show. It's like this is like Netflix partitioning off shows. Like you want to subscribe to Netflix to watch Stranger Things, you know, the Stranger Things only subscription.
It's pretty crazy, but people do that. People do go to services like Google Play or iTunes and like season of a show, you know?
Yeah.
And Stargate does have a fan base, and it's not just this one show, but all the old shows on there as well, and old content. And if they make more stuff for it, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, the idea that this is like a one franchise thing. Like, honestly, like, this is something I could see that maybe could have worked with, like, Star Trek. Instead of Star Trek being on CBS All Access, like, them having literally, you know, a Star Trek, like, app and Star Trek thing, you know, like service. I could see that working. Stargate, you know, it's also beloved. It's also a cult favorite, but there isn't as much content to it, you know, and I don't know. I mean, it's just pretty crazy again.
It is
more and more streaming services.
Yeah, we're, you know, people, okay, nobody's subscribing to all these streaming services. Like, okay, they need to stop with this. Okay, consolidate.
I've always felt that if they're gonna do it, they should do it instead of like looking at it like, oh, a network, like CBS going like, oh, okay, we're going to, you know, make CBS All Access and it's CBS content from the CBS network. Mm-hmm. They should go, well, CBS is owned by Viacom. Viacom also owns MTV and VH1, Comedy Central, stuff like that. That's what they should do. They should make a Viacom streaming service, you know, and has all of that content on it. Then they'd have a fairly decent lineup content, you know? But doing just CBS is like kind of crazy, you know, but this is like on a whole other level. This is just a single franchise, you know?
Yeah, this is a whole nother level. Like, I just feel like as good as Star Trek Discovery turns out to be, I'm probably still not going to subscribe to CBS All Access because right now I am subscribing to Netflix, Hulu, VRV, which is Crunchyroll and Funimation, you know, Amazon Prime, Instant Video, HBO Now, Stars, Showtime. You know, I mean, there's a point where, you know, I'm not spending all my money just on every streaming service people want to come out with. You know, it's crazy. It's like you got to offer me value.
They need an easy way to pause and resume subscriptions because, like, right now, like, what's the point of having Stars right now? You know,
right?
Like, American Gods is great, but that's over now. You know, like,
yeah, that's done. That's done. You know, like, I should actually cancel that because the American Gods is done. I'll resubscribe when American Gods comes back.
Yeah, or another show, you know, but there's really nothing right now.
There's nothing on the horizon either that I can see.
Yeah. Crazy franchise-specific streaming services. It's going too far. But there's a part of me that actually likes it because it means that it's like the franchise in control of its own destiny versus like the channel and then the production company and like the kind of liberties that are taken from there. And here you have like the franchise kind of controlling itself, which I kind of like, but I think they could have reached that without necessarily going to their own streaming service. I think Netflix kind of has been doing that. You know, they have the Marvel Netflix like things, you know, Netflix kind of just stays hands off and lets Marvel handle that. You know, it's like, I can't imagine that they wouldn't do something similar if Stargate came to them and said, hey, we want to put our Stargate stuff up here. We also want to do a new series
Right.
Will you pay for this and then just kind of stay hands off and we'll handle this? And Netflix would probably say, yeah, sure. Because they're crazy like that. But
yeah, they're crazy like that. But I don't know. Is there a big enough Stargate fan base to sustain this streaming service? Like,
I don't know. I mean, it depends on what they're charging too. You know, I mean, if they charge a large amount of money per thing and they hit just the most hardcore fans of the series,
right.
They might be able to make it depending on how many fans there are that are that hardcore. Because there are fans out there, you know, for things like Stargate and Star Trek that would be like $100 a month. Sure.
Well, yeah, totally. I guess, like, yeah, there would be those hardcore Trekkie,
so they could take a whale approach in the same way that like free to play games work. You know, they're only really making money off of a small number of the players.
Right.
And so they could do something similar. But I mean, who knows? I mean,
I think
what's next? A new Stargate series is going to be through Patreon or something?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You want another season of Hannibal? You can subscribe to Patreon.
Or just like make a donation. If we reach this goal, we will produce Hannibal.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'd do it. I'd chip in for Hannibal.
For Hannibal, totally, 100%. Like I just predict there's got to be like an oversaturation. The market for streaming services has to collapse at some point if people just keep piling on like this. It's getting out of control.
Like you said, there's got to be some kind of consolidation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it doesn't have to be an all-out consolidation like Hulu. That was kind of like the plan for Hulu, like all the networks working together. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, but there needs to be some consolidation. Instead of like 100 new streaming services, we need like 10, you know?
Yeah.
If we can just reduce it a bit,
just
that would be
handful,
great.
you know?
Maybe the solution's going to be more towards like what Hulu and Amazon are doing, where they have those add-on services.
Right.
Which is, I mean, that's how you're getting stars, right? You're not subscribing.
Yeah, I'm getting stars, but you know, I mean, to me, it's no different. It's just I'm subscribing through something I already have a subscription to, but I don't think it's cheaper to subscribe through stars.
No, but maybe they could make it easier, and that might make it worthwhile for people if it's easier. Because, I mean, if you have a few streaming services and they're really cheap, like let's say the Stargate Command is like, let's say it is like $2 a month. So it's cheap. You subscribe to it by itself, then you have to figure out how to unsubscribe. You have to remember you have this one outstanding subscription. But what if you have this other thing like Amazon Prime? Well, you watch your Prime stuff through there. You also get stars through there. Maybe you have HBO through there, Cinemax, whatever. You also happen to have this Stargate thing on there. So the season ends. There's nothing you really want anymore. You just flick a switch and turn that one off of your overall plan or something. So if they make it easy enough, it could be somewhat more manageable in a similar way to the way you order cable packages now when you order cable. You don't just say, give me cable, and then you just get all these channels. You order cable and then you say, yeah, I want to add on HBO. I want the, digital tier 3 package, You have these little packages and you add stuff on.
Right,
so
totally.
I could see them doing something like that, but only if they make it really easy. But yeah, so that's Stargate Origins and Stargate Command. Next story is our first of two really controversial stories we have. And this is,
controversial.
I don't think either one should be controversial, in my opinion.
Think so. In my opinion, well, this next story definitely shouldn't be controversial. If anybody finds this controversial, they need to be smacked upside the head.
Yeah, they're the problem.
Preferably by something like very hard. There's exactly.
So Jodie Whittaker from Broadchurch will be playing the first female Doctor in Doctor Who, the 13th Doctor overall.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, great news.
I don't watch Doctor Who, so I can't really comment beyond this. But it makes it fits with the mythology of the show. The Doctor is some kind of alien, and whenever the Doctor dies, the Doctor takes on a new form, and it's that the form he takes on is it's a different form each time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason the Doctor can't come back as a female
They actually really did something smart, which is 2 seasons ago, they had the Master, who's another Time Lord, so another character that regenerates, but like he's like the antagonist to Doctor Who, regenerated as a female, played by Michelle Gomez, who's brilliant in the role, and she's like the female Master, and she's been playing that role for the last 2 seasons. I think it works, because what they did is they said, okay, we know some fans are kind of like, oh, we don't have a precedent for like a female doctor because, what's this all of a sudden they can turn into a woman? It's like, no, 2 years ago they slipped this in.
Yeah, they slipped this in. And
now they have a precedent and they can play on that precedent.
I'm far from an expert on this. Like, I guess if somebody's like, I know all the Doctor Who lore, that's fantastic. But as far as I'm aware, there's nothing in lore that says the Doctor can't be a woman.
No,
this is the same.
Nothing that says that. Yeah,
this is the same stupid argument people get when like the subject of a female Link in Zelda comes up.
Yeah,
and people get really passionate. No, that should never happen.
I remember that female Starbuck with Battlestar Galactica. People were furious. Then they watched it and were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, Starbuck's amazing."
Okay, Starbuck's still a badass. Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, like Hannibal did that. Hannibal did a few gender flops too. Alana Bloom was a gender swap. I don't think it's an issue, but it's raised controversy and the thing is, people go like, okay, so all these Doctor Who fans are becoming sexist now. I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening is you have this group of misogynist people that latch themselves onto any issue they can find.
Right. Yeah.
So these people probably aren't really Doctor Who fans. Like, they may have seen an episode of Doctor Who, and they're just bringing their misogynist viewpoint to
these MRA type people who just like latch on, who just look for these issues and latch on to them to further their own stupid agenda. Yeah, I think you're right that's probably the most vocal people, because I can't imagine fans of the show really objecting to this. And there's no reason to object to it.
Yeah.
Like if there was like a reason, like if the lore stated that the Doctor was always going to be male, or something, then there might be something there, but it's still, and it's kind of, and it's the same thing as the stupid Ghostbusters controversy. Like again, that was a controversy for like no reason. You know? So it's the same thing. At this point, I'm getting kind of tired of like this whole kind of controversy, because it's not a big deal. It shouldn't be a big deal to anybody. Like, who cares? If it offends you, hit yourself over the head with a shovel and get over it.
So our second piece of controversial news is that Game of Thrones showrunners Dan and Dave have announced what their next project is going to be after Game of Thrones. So we know Game of Thrones is going to have some spin-off series in development and stuff, but Dan and Dave have said they're not going to have.
They're not involved with the spin-offs. Yeah.
They're moving on to something completely.
This is what we were talking about earlier, where this was picked up straight to series. There's no pilot, as far as I know, there's no pilot shot or anything.
Nope.
They just pitched the idea to HBO, and HBO picked it up because of exactly who these people are, and what they've done.
They want to stay in business with them. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So this is that rare situation I was talking about. That's definitely not going to happen for One Piece.
The series in question is Confederate, and this is an alternate history story, like, Man in the High Castle. But in this case, this is about the Confederates winning secession from the Union during the Civil War. And it says something about it being the third Civil War, which means there was another Civil War after that didn't, go through.
If the Confederates successfully succeeded, how could any further wars between America and the Confederates be considered a civil war?
With the Union trying to reestablish the Confederacy, I guess. Or vice versa. Maybe the Confederates trying to...
I mean, if they succeed, then they're a separate nation. It's no longer a civil war. There can't be three civil wars.
But, I mean, it's inextricably linked. I mean, they would call...
Be three wars. There could be,
there's still, like, linked nations, and I guess it would be kind of like similar to, a war between Northern and Southern Ireland,
Or maybe North or South Korea.
Yeah. They're separate entities.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's going to be kind of an ensemble story in the same way Game of Thrones is, which makes a lot of sense for the people working on it. And it's going to focus on both sides of a demilitarized zone border between the South and the Union. So you're going to be catching up with slave owners, and you're going to be catching up with abolitionists. You're going to be seeing all the kind of different sides of this, but it's modern day, and slavery still exists in this. And it's the institution of slavery and how it's evolved to our modern culture. It's like the idea of like, what would it be like if you went out with your cell phone and were hanging out and you know, you had a slave working for you behind you or something?
I mean, like it's not, we're not far from that in reality, really.
People are worried about that's what some of the criticism has been that we're like close out. I think that's all the more reason that this should be made. You can see it, like especially these days, like people like have really put their prejudices front and center in such like a big stark way, like they've always been there, I guess, and people have been like better at hiding it in the past, but like ever since Donald Trump, it's all come out, you know, like people just been loud and proud with their true racist colors, and it's just like, I don't know. So what are your feelings about the series, though? Like, the fact that it's in this climate, there's been a lot of, like, negative backlash at both the idea that the show exists at all, but also the idea that it's two white men writing a story about slavery.
Right. Honestly, I'm going to have to see it when it comes. I can't make a prejudgment. I'm not going to make a prejudgment based on the concept. I'm gonna wait for the execution and see how it comes out in execution. As far as the idea goes, do we need this? I don't know.
I think it's fascinating. I think it's a fascinating idea that I don't think we've ever seen.
I love alternate history stories. I do. And I am curious about this. I will admit I'm curious. I want to see how this turns out. But it's hard to say. It is very hard to say. I don't think of the showrunners as, you know, I don't think they're gonna turn out anything vile or anything intentionally vile. I think their hearts are probably in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm not expecting some kind of alt-right shit show from this.
I think the problem is that we're in this kind of like outrage culture where something happens and it's an immediate step to outrage without necessarily like thinking about, you know, what it's actually going to be. And, you know, like the idea that these people are worried that it's going to be too close to mirroring where we are as a country right now, that would be a good thing. It's mirroring where we are as a country right now and showing something in a stark contrast, showing this is the end of where, like, when we look at kind of like the racism that we have now, and you take that to its logical conclusion, and that's that. And look how horrible that is. I think that's a good thing to present.
I just don't want to see a TV show trying to humanize slave owners. Like, anybody who would own another person as a slave is not a human being. So, you know, if one thing is, please don't try to like, if you have slave owner characters, please don't try to humanize them.
See, I'm kind of on the other side of that, just in the sense that, like, I also think that, you know, slave owning is important, but I think I'm on the other side in that I've really enjoyed movies where they've done things like humanize pedophiles because it's interesting, because they are human, you know, like slave owners were human, but human doesn't mean good, you know, like human could be like all these different shades. There can be aspects of a person that are horrific and other aspects that are kind, you know, like we're more complicated than such like stark black and white differences, you know. Ultimately, when you do that, you should play to the direction of like, okay, regardless of this person's good traits, what they're doing on the bad is so abhorrent that it's unforgivable, you know, that it goes past this limit. But doing that, you don't necessarily have to ignore the good traits in the showing of that. I think that makes the subject matter and the characters more complex and interesting. So I'm always for that. So I want them to kind of humanize, just because it forces you to kind of like think about things and go like, why am I relating to this person, you know? And in the same sense, it kind of says, well, why do I like this person if he's so horrible? And we do that with a lot of things. I mean, how many movies and shows do we watch where the main character is like a drug dealer or a serial killer? Or, you know?
Right. You got a point there, but like you know, there
has to be a line.
You know, there's going to be people who look at these people and look at them and hold them up as heroes, as like some, you know, like some kind of pop culture hero, and that idea kind of makes me sick.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you there. Like, there has to be a line, you know, like you can't just say, okay, complete humanizing, complete gray territory, no exceptions. You have to kind of draw a line and say like, okay, we're going to show some level of humanity here to give you doubts and to make you kind of curious about the character, but we're not going to go all the way into making that person truly sympathetic, you know? So there has to be some level of a line there, but I like it when shows can play in the gray area and explore those ideas. So I'm for that. I'm in favor of it. I understand the criticisms against it, you know, and some of that is already kind of like two of the people involved in producing this series. It wasn't announced when it was originally announced. It probably maybe should have been, is that it's not just Dan and Dave. It's also, the showrunner, the husband-wife showrunner team of The Good Wife, who is a black couple. Right. And so they're involved in the production as well. They're executive producers on the series as well. It's not just Dan and Dave doing it. So, you know, there are going to be people there in the room saying like, no, this does not work. You know, like you cannot have this character do this. This is not a good thing to show. Which is a problem that, you know, if you don't have people of different races and sexes in like a boardroom or a writer's room, there's going to be certain things you're not going to consider, and you can accidentally go right into something vile.
Right, exactly. That's a real danger. Like, even if their intentions are good, you know, I'm sure David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, they still have like a kind of a worldview, you know, where if you haven't had to live through certain experiences, you can be blind. You can have blinders, you know, and unintentional blinders. And so I think it's good. So I think it's good that there'll be people there to kind of correct them if they veer in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and that's an issue with they talk about that a lot. You know, if you look into anything about like Silicon Valley, not the show, but the area, you know, and the businesses that happen there, is that there's a lot of movement towards trying to do more diversity in the hiring, because there's kind of like this boys club thing happening there where, you know, they're doing things that are really kind of insensitive, and it's not intentional. It's like they're accidentally insensitive. And if they had somebody in their boardroom, you know, that was a woman, if it was an issue for women, or that was black, if it was an issue in that direction, that could pipe up and say like, no, this doesn't work. You know, this doesn't fly. You need to understand this. Then you don't have those problems. So it's a good reason to have that. So that's something that I think if they had announced that up front, I think less people would object, because they'd say, oh, okay, it's not just guys.
I think a lot of it is people are just nervous that this is going to come across as like some alt-right wet dream of like, you know.
Yeah. Hopefully not. I can't imagine that's going to be the case. I think Dave and Dan have done a pretty good job of showing their position in Game of Thrones. Even though it's based on a book, they've done a pretty good job of establishing the idea of like their views on slavery and stuff, with Daenerys and her views on slavery, you know?
Yeah, but then again, Daenerys is kind of like a misguided white savior trope.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's good that they have people of an African American descent working on the show as well.
Right.
But it's this is heavy controversial territory. I'm excited about it though. I think this is the kind of show we've never seen before.
I am definitely curious. And I don't know if I would normally tune it, but because of the showrunners, I'm definitely curious. I have more faith in this because of who the showrunners are, because Game of Thrones is such a strong show. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. Just don't fuck this up, guys. I guess.
Well, let's move on to the two shows that we discuss in detail on this show. Starting off with Twin Peaks, we're going to be talking about episode 10, which, doesn't really have a title because none of them do.
Interesting, because we could probably use that to segue into Game of Thrones.
Saving Game of Thrones for last.
Yeah. So yeah, Twin Peaks. This was episode 10 of Twin Peaks. So
kind of felt a bit like a filler episode to me.
Well, it answered the question of, what was going on with,
Richard, or?
Why don't you have this? Richard Horn.
Okay, yeah.
That's his name.
It'd been our suspicion. It's still not 100% confirmed, but I mean, it's pretty much laid out there that Richard Horn is indeed Aubrey's son.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, from other things we've heard, there's a high likelihood that he is her son from possible rape by Evil Cooper.
It would explain why he's
when she was unconscious after the bank explosion at the end of Twin Peaks season 2.
Right.
So based on kind of just different things that we've heard and stuff, it seems like that might have been the case. The Evil Cooper visited her and knocked her up, and the result is Richard Horn, this monster that's now terrorizing Twin Peaks. We saw him first go after the witness that saw him run down the little boy, messed her up really good, and then basically set her place up to explode and left. And then we see him later on attacking his own grandmother and uncle, his uncle who's severely disabled, and his grandmother, and just beating them up and stealing from them.
Right.
Which is just, more reason to hate Richard Horn.
Oh, well, yeah, you need more reasons to hate this guy. I just hope somebody gives him, a beat down soon after watching this episode, especially. Jesus. Somebody really needs, crack that guy's head open.
Maybe when we get good Cooper back.
Yeah, maybe when we get good Cooper back, which we still don't have. But again, people speculate the return in the title is referring to the return of Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking like we won't get Cooper. We're not getting Cooper back till late in the series.
I mean, we're already more than halfway through.
We're already more than halfway through, so we're already late in the series.
Yeah. So Dougie is still our Cooper right now. Janie finally took him for a physical, and so we see him without his shirt on. Kyle MacLachlan, congratulations, you are in great shape.
Yes.
Which Janie took note of as she
this leads to the most entertaining sex scene ever. This was something else.
With basically, she's basically raping a mentally incompetent person.
Basically, yeah, because he's just kind of laying there, not even knowing what the hell's going on. So,
just horribly awkward sex. She is thirsty for him. It's
his name so loud too. Her son can hear her screaming.
He wakes up a little disturbed, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have some stuff going on with the Mitchum brothers. They're the two kind of gangster-like guys that run the casino that Dougie was winning so much money from.
Yes.
While Rodney Mitchum is working on some paperwork, we see that a showgirl that works for him, Candy, is going around the room trying to kill a fly and ends up smacking him really hard in her attempt to kill the fly, causing him a little bit of injury. And then she's flipping out. She kind of steals the scenes with the Mitchum brothers because she's just either zonked out of her mind or crying hysterically because she hit him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. The story with this woman now is such a bizarre sub story that runs through this episode, because she hits him in the face with the remote trying to kill a fly. She draws blood. This sends her into hysterics. She's in hysterics throughout most of the episode, and then towards the end of the episode you see her kind of ignoring her bosses and kind of disobeying orders, or just acting really weird. And
she's zonked out of her mind on drugs or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's what the hell is going on? what the hell? It's so bizarre.
But plot-wise, the Mitchum brothers are being set up against Dougie by Evil Cooper's friend in Vegas, basically. Yes. First, they just are watching the news and they see Dougie and Janie talking about being assaulted by Ike the Spike, and in doing that, they put together, that's our Mr. Jackpots.
Right.
And then they know that he kind of ripped him off and they're pissed off at him, but they're not really going to do anything about it. They're just like, fuck this, you know? Then Dougie's coworker, his corrupt coworker, the one that Dougie had said, you're a liar or something, about in the middle of a board meeting. Yes. That guy, gets sent by, Evil Cooper's friend in Vegas to basically set the Mitchums up to hunt Cooper in the guise of Dougie. So he goes to the Mitchum brothers and tells them that at his company, Dougie was pushing basically to get money from them, to screw them over out of like millions of dollars. And so now they're pissed. The Mitchum brothers are pissed and they're targeting Dougie Jones, who is our Dale Cooper. Let's see what else is going on. We see Becky again, played by Amanda Seyfried, being horribly beaten by her sleazy ass boyfriend.
Yeah, this is just an uncomfortable episode to watch, as we see people being horrible and abusive to other people almost constantly throughout the episode.
A lot of violence against women in the episode.
A lot of violence in particular, yeah.
But yeah, so Becky's being beaten horribly by that, as Carl, who was in Firewalk with Me, and we saw him before. He was a witness to the boy being run down by the car as well. Plays guitar outside, but is interrupted when a mug comes flying through the window and gets exposed to all the kind of vitriol horribleness coming out of this fight between this couple, or abuse of the woman in this couple. Besides that, we have Gordon and Albert are discussing Diane being complicit with Evil Cooper, and then they get visited by Agent Preston, who tells them and shows them pictures of Evil Cooper and his involvement in the New York incident with the couple that got their faces ripped off.
Right.
So now we know that Gordon and Albert are aware of Diane's kind of connection to Evil Cooper, and they're kind of keeping closer tabs on.
Yeah, they basically figure out Diane has a relationship with Evil Cooper that she's hiding, so she's kind of like his inside woman, I guess. You know, so they figure this out, so yeah, they're gonna keep closer tabs on Diane now.
And then we see Hawk is talking to the log lady on the phone again. She says a few things. She says Laura is the one, and she says that the Truman brothers are true men. Those are her like new hints for Hawk to unfold.
The new log lady's hints. Basically, I guess she's hinting that I guess that's basically kind of like a hint that somebody in the police sheriff's office isn't trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. And we know that to be the case, because there's at least one dirty cop working for Richard Horne that's getting in the way of their investigation into the boy's death, because he's trying to intercept the letter that the woman wrote that's now probably dead. We just haven't seen her dead yet. But yeah, so she's dropping hints for where that's going now. Overall, this episode, I can't think of anything else that really happened this episode. Kind of a filler episode.
Right, yeah.
I kind of want more episode 8 weirdness.
There's more. There's still some plot, you know. It's obviously we had to catch up with Richard Horne after he's been missing for 2 episodes. You know, I brought that up like last week, I think.
We can put together a little bit that it seems, like I said, that seems likely that he's the child of Aubrey and Evil Cooper.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just one of the kind of least interesting episodes of the season so far, in my opinion.
Fair enough, yeah.
I kind of want some more episode 8 weirdness. Or like just straight up plot development, or like really weird eccentric characters like what's Andy and Lucy's son.
Yep.
Wally Brando, that's his name.
Wally Brando. I don't think we're ever going to see Wally Brando again, maybe.
But I want to see either something really eccentric and weird and funny like that, or I want to see something just really weird weird and terrifying like in episode 8, you know, or just plot development. But this is like really not much of any of that. I mean, we do get a little bit with Richard Horn, but not that much in the grand scheme of things.
I just want to see him get shit kicked out of him at this point.
Richard Horn, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was one other thing we saw in this episode, which is we saw Nadine. She has her
oh, that's right.
Her drape shop that she's always wanted is now open.
Company is open. She's living the dream.
And she's got one of Dr. Jacoby's golden shovels.
She's listening to another Dr. Jacoby's infomercials disguised as political ranting.
She's got one of his golden shovels in her window, so.
Yeah, she's probably going to buy another one from the sounds of it.
It's going to be a silent drapes and golden shovels like Emporium. It's going to be her shop now. That's pretty much it for Twin Peaks, though, right?
Yeah.
For this week, at least. Let's move on to the real star of the show, what we've been wanting to watch and talk about for forever, which is Game of Thrones. This is episode 1 of season 7, titled Dragonstone. It was directed by Jeremy Pedeswa, who directed the first 2 episodes of last year's season. We did a video earlier in the week where we talked about the opening scene, the cold open for this episode, which involved Arya Stark and Walder Frey, or Arya Stark wearing Walder Frey, and wiping out the entire Frey household.
Yeah.
So if you want more of our thoughts on that specific scene, you can watch that video about that on our YouTube channel. But we can just sum up by saying that we loved the scene.
It was probably the best cold open in the series history. I can't think of anything that topped that, really. Like, what a way to open the season, right?
And one of the biggest power plays we've ever seen any character do.
This pretty much tells you what to expect going in, or hopefully it does. Hopefully it's not just that and then the rest of the season is boring. This really sets up big expectations because if you do something like that up front, then you know, like, the major thing they have for the end of the season's got to be that much crazier.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So this has raised the stakes, has raised expectations. The rest of the episode, nothing crazy happens in the rest of the episode. It's mainly, they're setting up the dominoes so that they can fall later on, which is what Game of Thrones does.
They're setting it up pretty quickly, though. So, like, you can imagine that stuff's going to start happening pretty quickly.
Right. They only have 7 episodes this season. So
and they kind of touched on everyone, too, which is rare. They usually don't get to all the characters on the first episode.
So, yeah, exactly. So if things are seeming to move a little quicker, it's because we have less episodes. And to be fair, we have less characters, too. A lot of characters died less.
That's a way of looking at it.
Like they got to everybody. Well, I'm like, there's not a lot of characters left to get to, so they can fit everybody's story in an episode.
We talked about Arya's scene with Walder Frey. If you want to hear our full details on that, it is on our YouTube channel. There's a video called Arya Makes a Power Play. So check that out. There was another scene with Arya in this episode that's kind of gotten a little bit of hatred online.
Ed Sheeran. Who doesn't love Ed Sheeran?
What did you think of Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones? Did it take you out of the scene, or
I didn't even know who the hell that was, to be honest. I
didn't care. I knew who it was, and I didn't care.
I didn't care. He was good in the scene. He fit. He was singing like this nice song that didn't.
People react like as if he went on and started singing like one of his pop songs or something in the middle of the episode.
He was singing something that seemed natural to the show. It didn't pull me out of it. I didn't freaking know even that he was like a pop.
It's no different than seeing somebody singing the Reigns of Castamere or something on the show. It's a song from within the show. It's a song that's in the books.
Right.
So it's not like he's doing a pop song here and he's just singing it. And they basically put him in there because Maisie Williams, who plays Arya Stark, is a huge fan of his.
Oh,
so
really?
they basically, that's why they put him in the show.
I mean, and also it made sense for the scene because she's passing by and she gets drawn in by his voice, by his song. You know, if he wasn't there singing, she probably just would kept on keeping on, you know, but she's kind of,
to the scene itself,
she kind of stops. And then they notice her and they invite her into, you know, I mean, that's plot progression. To the scene itself, you know, so zero problems. I mean, hate the guy all you want. I hated his music. I don't care. You know,
it's
like
not his music you're hearing here. It's
not his music. Acting wise, he did perfectly fine, I thought.
He didn't even, of the Lannister troops that were there, he probably had like the least dialogue.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He probably did.
He wasn't even that big of a concern. Like, you know, there were like several other characters that did most of the talking in that scene.
It's not like he's suddenly going to be the main character of the show.
Yeah.
Nobody has to worry about
it's
that.
It's ridiculous how many people freaked out about that.
It really is. Yeah, I saw the controversy online. I was like, what? Why? Why are people upset just because they hate this guy? Oh, go jump off a bridge. Yeah. Like, really? As
for the scene itself, there is some interesting stuff going on, which is that Arya is sitting with these people. She's eating with them. She's essentially breaking bread with them. She's scouting them, though. She's looking at them. She's checking out where their weapons are, seeing the locations of them. Do you think she's going to kill them?
She might.
I mean, they are Lannister soldiers.
Again, it's hard because they are Lannister soldiers, but they really like this is where you get into a gray area because it's like, yeah, but they didn't personally kill her family. They're human beings, you know, they're soldiers in a war that they didn't start.
There's some of those horrible characters that she's run into in the course of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
They welcomed her in and offered her food, you know.
I think Maisie Williams or, you know, Arya just hauling off and killing these people would be out of character for her at this point, just because
it would be colder than she is. Like, people talk about how she's cold, but that's like would be super cold.
Right. I mean, the people she's murdered so far, there's been a justification for it. At least a very clear justification to her. For her, the only justification would be here is they're Lannister soldiers. Mm-hmm. And is that strong enough justification to flat out murder these people, you know?
And they did a good job of humanizing them. One of them just has, like, they're a child and they don't know what the sex is of the child yet and things like that. Like, humanize these characters and make it like so that this is like a hard thing for her. I think it also makes her a little homesick because they're talking about being homesick.
Right.
And she's heading to King's Landing, but her family's in Winterfell right now, and news has to be spreading about that, you know, because, I mean, Cersei in King's Landing already knows that Jon Snow has taken back Winterfell. She sent a letter to him, you know? So there's gotta be news spreading about the fact that these two are around. Arya needs to be hearing this stuff, and there's got to be a part of her that wants to return home.
Right, exactly. There's got to be a part of her that wants to return home. I think she might have already heard the news, but she's focused on her revenge. You know, she's not going to rush off to Winterfell because she wants to complete her revenge, which is killing Cersei, killing Jaime Lannister. You know, she wants to do that.
Yeah, the mountain's there too. He's another one on her list.
He's another one on her list.
I don't think Jaime's on her list.
Maybe. I can't I remember.
I know
exactly.
Cersei's on his list, and I know the mountain is
Tywin was on her list, but he's dead already.
Yeah.
So
quite a few on her list are already dead.
Yeah.
There aren't that many that are actually still around.
So I don't think she's going to go home until she's killed Cersei.
So, speaking of Cersei, we see King's Landing. Cersei's commissioned a painted map of Westeros, and she's standing there. There's a lot of, like, fan theories going on about this, because in the scene they show Jaime and Cersei, and Cersei is standing on what's called the neck. That's, like, the area of Westeros where she's standing. And Jaime is standing right next to the fingers. And there's like that prophecy about the younger brother killing her and she'd always assumed it was Tyrion, and that's part of her hatred for Tyrion. Jaime is also her younger brother. They're twins, but he was born second. So there's been like a fan theory that Jaime's gonna kill Cersei for a long time.
Like in the same way that he killed the Mad King, like kind of bringing things full circle. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. This theory's been going for a long time. And then they did this shot. This is like a very planned out shot. So the shot being there and being intentional doesn't mean that they're going to do that.
No.
It means that they're acknowledging that this theory exists and they're playing with the fans.
I'm kind of wondering in my mind if this would be too obvious for them to go with.
It could be. I think it would be. I mean, just because something's like the obvious approach doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
No.
If they do it with a lot of emotion, it doesn't matter if you see it coming or not. But
I don't think
it's fun to see that they're acknowledging this theory.
I don't think Jaime is anywhere close to I'm going to kill my sister. Obviously, he's still okay. So you gotta think from Jaime's point of view now. He's still reeling from the shame and disgrace of having done this one time. So like doing it a second time, regardless of who the hell it was, would still be like a huge mountain for him to cross mentally. Like doing it.
Not to mention the other huge mountain he'd have to cross.
Yeah. Doing it once practically broke him, so doing it again. Secondly, this is not the Mad King. This is his sister, who he is literally in love with. Way more than
or his children who are all dead.
Yeah, plus his children who are all dead. I would think she would have to do something completely abhorrent to make Jaime cross that line a second time, especially when it's her in that position.
I don't think she's that far from doing something like that. I mean, what she did to the stuff that was pretty...
Yeah, I don't think she is. I don't know. I guess the way they play, it's going to be a hard sell. If they decide to go that route.
They are starting to show some divisiveness between them, though.
They are showing that they're definitely not on the same page.
And that continued on with Euron Greyjoy, who came to King's Landing, seeking an alliance with Cersei, a marriage with Cersei. A very different Euron Greyjoy than we got last season. Much more of a fun version of the character, which I liked. What did you think of this new Euron Greyjoy? Same actor, but just like a new way they're presenting him.
He's still an asshole. I didn't think any differently of him. Like, okay, he's still.
Well, you're not supposed to like him, but but he was kind of boring before. I think
he's still boring,
and now at least he's kind of. I don't know.
He was a little more. I don't.
He made a few funny comments and he talked a little smack.
I mean, this show gave us Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay Bolton was way more entertaining. I actually don't care about this guy. He was.
Oh, come on! What about his comment about two good hands, Jaime?
Yeah, that was a good singer.
I think he's way more entertaining than he was last season. It's still not saying a lot because last season he was really boring.
He didn't have a lot of screen time last season either.
But I think they did make him more interesting already. And there's like an obvious change. I mean, he looks a little different. He had a lot more facial hair before. I mean, his outfit is very different. Like they very much changed him up. Like they realized their previous direction with him wasn't as interesting as it could be, so they adjusted.
Right, totally.
But yeah, so Euron's there. He promises a gift for Cersei, saying that he'll bring her a priceless gift and that he won't return to King's Landing until he has it. If you read the episode descriptions, I won't say because it could be spoiler, but if you read the episode descriptions for the next couple episodes, they released the first 3 episode descriptions, and really kind of think about it, there's a very strong possibility of who or what that gift could be buried in there.
I'm not reading episode descriptions.
I'm not going to say what it was. If you don't want to do it, don't do that. But if you are interested,
the gift is that Ed Sheeran.
Listen to his dulcet tones. cuts his head off or something.
That's how those storylines are going to intersect.
It's like the Nikki Paolo ending in Lost, like when all the fans hated them. They're going to kill off Ed Sheeran the same way.
To be fair, the fans had the fans, and I was one of them, had a legit reason for hating those freaking people. Like their inclusion in the show was so utterly pointless. Goddamn, those people pissed me off. I was glad they were dead.
So, up at the wall, we had mentioned already that Cersei had sent a message basically telling Jon Snow to bend the knee or be seen as a traitor. But, oh wait, that's in Winterfell, never mind. At the wall, Bran...
I was gonna say the wall, what?
Yeah, sorry, off what's there. Okay. At the wall, Bran is having a vision while touching a weirwood tree right outside of the wall, just north of the wall. It's basically the weirwood tree that Jon and Sam swore their oaths on in the Night's Watch in the first season. But at that, he sees a vision of the army of the dead pulling in, and surprise, surprise, amongst the army of the dead,
there's giant giant zombies. Okay, basically Attack on Titan.
If they start running like the characters in Attack on Titan, with floppy arms and
every still run,
goofy grins on their faces.
Yeah, goofy grins on their faces. Like that. That's pure nightmare fuel. They got zombie frickin' giants. Good luck, everybody.
Well, at least 3.
Yeah, at least 3.
Which is, I think in the North, they, with Jon Snow and stuff, I think they only had the one. He's dead, So yeah, that's pretty strong advantage. We've seen what giants can do. So
previously,
that doesn't bode well for.
We already established giants are incredibly hard to kill because we've seen before they could take a lot of punishment before they go down.
And zombie giants are going to be.
And we know White Walkers are basically impossible to kill unless you have dragon glass or some shit. So
well, the whites aren't. You could just burn them, but
you could burn the whites. So how hard is the White Walker giants going to be? That's like expert level.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
If only there were 3 other mythical beings that could light fire to them somehow.
Right.
So Bran comes out of his vision. He's with Mira. They're at the wall. They introduce themselves, or Mira introduces them to the new Lord Commander at the wall, who Jon put in power. One of Jon's old friends. He says that, how do I know that you are who you say you are? And then Bran basically goes into full-on Sage Bran mode and starts basically speaking off all of the guy's deeds that he's done, facing against the Night's King and at Hardhome and everything that he's basically done. Spooks him out a little bit, but enough to make him go, let's get them inside. Bran saying, the knights, the army of the dead and the Night King are coming for all of us.
Mm-hmm. They
got to get them inside. They got to get that. That means that we're really close because the Wall and Winterfell are very close to each other. We're very close to a Jon, Sansa, and Bran reunion. And if Bran is full on Sage mode, if he started to digest all the information he has, that means we could also get, Jon learning about his true parentage. And there's lots of exciting stuff there.
There's lots of exciting stuff there. I'm happy to see a Stark reunion coming. I'm just sad Arya's not headed towards the north. I would like to see all the living Starks reunited, but Arya's on her quest for vengeance, so I don't think Arya will be reuniting with the rest of her family anytime soon. But yeah, I think Bran will reunite with his brother and his sister very soon, and that's going to lead to some interesting things.
So what I was mistakenly going to talk about next after before the wall was Winterfell. So we're going to get to that now. in Winterfell, we see Jon and Sansa, along with all of the Lords of the North, in Winterfell's Great Hall, and they're talking about what to do about the Umbers and the Karstarks and everything else that's going on. Jon tells them, we need people looking for dragonglass. Everywhere it is, they need to find dragonglass, and we need to drill everybody in the North on fighting tactics. He said, every man, woman, and child basically needs to be ready to fight. Glover, from House Glover, basically takes objection to this because he's like, you want me to put a sword in my daughter's hand? Lady Mormont steps up and basically says, I'm gonna fight, and I don't need your permission to say I'm going to fight, and that Bear Island is going to be training all of their people to fight. A little empowered moment that a lot of people enjoyed. But the big scene in that great hall was with Jon and Sansa disagreeing with each other for an audience, with Sansa kind of undermining Jon a bit, and then Jon going back and undermining Sansa when they're talking about what to do with the Karstarks and the Umbers. So Sansa says that they should, kick them out of the castles, take away their titles, and give the castles and the titles to men that fought for them against the Boltons.
Right.
And Jon says, no, there are a few people that were rotten in that family. They're now dead, those people. And the rest of the house had served them loyally for years before. And he doesn't want to take their houses from them.
Right.
And he also doesn't want to blame the children for the sins of their fathers.
Right.
And so he has the two kids come up, which is Alice Karstark and Ned Umber. Interesting Ned Umber, probably named after Ned Stark.
Probably.
Yeah, and that's how it kind of happens. He's the Ned in the North,
Lord, Ned,
but the headless Ned in the North. But yeah, they're very young. They're children, especially young Ned, and they swear loyalty to Jon. Jon and Sansa talk afterwards about it. Sansa feels a little undermined. Jon feels a little undermined. They're kind of a little bit annoyed with each other.
Right.
She compares him to Joffrey, basically saying that he asked for whatever he wants, and Jon's like, you don't think I'm Joffrey? And she says, you're about as far from Joffrey as possible.
Right.
And he's like,
she also compares him to Ned and to and to his brother Robb. She compares him to Ned and Robb, saying that they were foolish, that they were foolish enough to get themselves killed, being so righteous,
Mm-hmm.
So foolishly, she suggested that he was being foolishly righteous,
and
like
that
his father and
his
his
brother.
brother.
Smarter than his brother and father. Yeah.
Right.
Later on, we see they kind of seem to be, they're a little bit at odds with each other. They're a little bit but they also seem kind of a little bit at peace. Each kind of have valid points.
Right.
Which is, and the dispute between them is that Sansa's worried about Cersei and Jon is worried about the Night's King. And
Right.
Sansa thinks that the Night's King is not a threat right now because of the wall.
That Cersei is the more immediate threat.
And Jon thinks Cersei is not an immediate threat because of the distance.
Right.
And
because
the Night's King is the real threat, yeah.
And that the Night's King is the real. So they even disagree on who they should be fighting. This is.
But they seem to kind of respect each other's views. Like it doesn't
Right.
seem like there's seeds of discontent between them, but it's not.
Right. It's not full blown like they're gonna go to war with each other.
Yeah, they're not like
At least
plotting
not
against
yet.
each other.
Right.
We see Brienne is training Podrick. We get a great little scene with Tormund Giantsbane making his eyes at Brienne again. He's giving her the eyes. I'm like laughing. He says Podrick's one lucky man for getting beaten up by Brienne. Then Brienne joins Sansa as Sansa was just talking to Littlefinger, and Littlefinger is trying to sow more seeds of discontent into her against Jon. And she cuts him off, though. It was great. She said, no need to get the last word, and I'll just assume it's something clever. And really kind of nailed him. Then Brienne joined them, and Littlefinger dismissed himself, and Sansa acknowledged that she knows what Littlefinger wants, which is basically her.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so that's Winterfell. In Old Town, we get the poop soup montage that everybody loves,
Oh,
where they
God.
just kept cutting back and forth between Sam cleaning up latrines or like the bed.
They were just trying to make people sick, like on purpose. Like, stop it! You're just purposely trying to make people throw up. That's all that's in here for.
Yeah,
Stop.
just the similar trays for the food and versus the bedpans. And the similar consistency of what's in both of them.
That scene, like that montage, seemed to go on forever too. It's like, holy cow!
Which is also kind of like of all the things that people complained about in this episode, nobody really complained too much about this scene, but it's probably the most off-brand part of the whole episode because they don't really do montages in Game of Thrones.
No, they don't. They don't. Nobody found this like unnecessary and sort of nauseating.
I think a lot of people found it nauseating. We get to see the new Grandmaster, who Sam is talking to. This Maester is played by Professor Slughorn from Harry Potter. And he basically assures Sam that he believes Sam that he did see White Walkers, that all of this is true, but then also says that, you know, there have been events throughout history in which people thought that it was the end of the world, and it wasn't, that the wall stood. Now we know, since this is like the period of the show in which it's taking place, the narrative is going to demand that that's not the case. that either the wall's not going to stand or they're going to find another way around the wall. But to this Meister, even though he acknowledges what Sam's seen, he's kind of disacknowledging the urgency of what Sam needs to have done. So Sam wants to get into the restricted section and get books. After that conversation, he realizes that he's never going to get that until like he's a Maester himself, which will take years.
Exactly. Yeah, which will take years, which nobody has, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have these.
So he takes it in his own hand, he steals books, and he and Gilly are kind of going over the books, trying to get information. And the one thing they do get is that which is what he already knew, but he had just kind of put the information aside in his head, which is what Stannis had told him before. The Dragonstone is sitting on a mountain of dragonglass. Like literally a mountain loaded of dragonglass. They just so much of it. And that's exactly what Jon and everybody in the North need to fight against the White Walkers. Because if they just have a ton of that stuff, they can just arm arrowheads with them and just start launching them, you know, from the wall. But Sam says that he's going to send a letter to Jon telling him that information, which is probably going to push Jon to go towards Dragonstone, where we now know Daenerys is. So you kind of get all these kind of ideas of like where things are going to move and how characters are going to run into each other. After Sam steals these books and makes this discovery, he is going through one of the sections on his job, one of the sections of Old Town, and it's like the infirmary where they have like contagious patients and stuff. And in taking the food from one of the rooms, from one of the doors, like an arm with grayscale on it kind of like jumps out at him, and he kind of gets freaked out. It turns out to be Jorah. Yeah. And he's asking if Daenerys has come yet.
And, you know, no. At this point, no.
Yeah. He kind of says no, he's freaked out, shuts the door thing, and books it out of there.
Right.
So that's kind of what's happened at Old Town. We have in kind of an undisclosed location, we have the Hound and the Brotherhood Without Banners. They approach an abandoned house. Did you recognize this house, by the way?
At first, when I was watching it, I didn't.
What this house is it is where Arya Stark and the Hound had stayed with this family, this father and his daughter. And in the end, the Hound decided to rob them. Arya confronted him, saying that they would die without the little bit of money they had. The Hound didn't care. He was stone cold about it. And they've returned there. The Hounds returned there. He's reluctant to stop there. They said like maybe they've got some ale in the house tucked away somewhere, and he says they don't. Because he knows that already. He's been there. They get into the house. They see the corpses of the father and the young girl, self-inflicted wounds in order to avoid, you know, starving to death in winter. So the Hound's kind of reflecting on that. He's kind of miserable. While this is going on, the Brotherhood basically convinces him to look into the fire, which he makes a funny comment of, leave it to me to get stuck with a bunch of fire worshippers.
Yeah, he makes a
Hound, of all people.
The Hound. Well, we know the Hound isn't religious. He takes every opportunity he can to curse religion, to curse the gods, to mock them. More
so than that, we know the Hound is not exactly somebody who enjoys fire.
That's true. He has a bad history with fire. He's
kind of scared of it. So he looks into the fire though, and is able to get a vision. He sees he sees the wall, and he sees the army of the dead, and he sees them bypassing the wall where the wall meets the sea, which is seeming to be the castle that basically Jon is sending the wildlings to man. Eastwatch by the Sea is the castle. We'd seen that in Winterfell, where Tormund Giantsbane was like, looks like we're the Night's Watch now. That's where they're going to be going to man that castle. So it seems like we're going to actually get a new location. I didn't think we'd get too many new locations this season because we've kind of consolidated down into Westeros and seen everywhere already. But, we should be getting a new location, seeing, Eastwatch by the Sea and seeing some pretty crazy battles there.
Oh yeah, definitely. If that vision's anything go by, and we know he's not bullshitting about the vision, we saw the Hound was clearly unnerved by what he saw.
Yeah, he was shaken. And after witnessing that, he resolves to bury the dead bodies. And you kind of see the Hound is on a big redemptive arc right now.
Yep. You can see he's on his redemption arc this season.
Mm-hmm.
So really cool to see. Good to see the Hound back. Definitely one of my favorite characters on the show.
Yeah. So it's really great to see him back again. The last kind of scene we have for the episode, and it's the last scene in the episode too, is Daenerys arriving at Dragonstone. She pulls up with her fleet. They get to the soil. She's, just taking everything in. Her dragons are flying around the castle. She gets into the castle, goes to the throne room, goes to the big stone map that's in the war room. We'd seen that before with Stannis. Stannis actually impregnated the Red Witch on that table, and then she later gave birth to that smoke monster baby or whatever.
Yes.
So they get to that table, and Tyrion and Daenerys are in that room together, and she says, "Shall we begin?" And that's how the episode ends.
Yep, that's how the episode ends. Daenerys, the significance being Daenerys is home. Daenerys is in Westeros with her armies, with her dragons. She is ready to take back the Iron Throne. She's ready to go head to head with Cersei, the fight of the millennium.
This Sunday, pay-per-view.
Yeah, right.
The Mother of Dragons versus the Mad Queen.
The Mad Queen. Yes. Sunday. If you miss this, you better be dead or in jail. And if you're in jail, break out.
So stuff is going down fast. From everything the actors have been saying, that basically this season moves very fast.
Yeah. Again, only 7 episodes to do. Yeah. So you better believe this is going to be a very fast-paced season.
So we got to imagine in the next episode, Jon is going to learn about Dragonglass being in Dragonstone. That letter from Sam. We got to imagine that he's got to hear something from the Night's Watch about Bran. So there's just all sorts of things. So he'll probably miss out on seeing Bran because he'll be going off to Dragonstone.
Yeah, probably.
And so we have all this kind of movement going on right now.
Well, now we have all this focus.
The kind of sides of where everything is.
Well, now all of a sudden we have all this focus on Dragonstone because that's where Daenerys is setting up her base of operations. Cersei certainly knows Cersei already figured out that's exactly where Daenerys is going. So
yeah, Jamie figured that out and told her.
Yeah. So obviously she's gonna focus some resources on that. Jon Snow's gonna get word that there's shitload of dragon glass there. So, obviously he's gonna be looking to get that. So there's gonna be so now a lot of focus is on Dragonstone.
Meanwhile, Daenerys has her whole fleet there. You have Euron's fleet also kind of obviously wanting to kill off the other Greyjoys and also trying to secure some kind of a gift for Cersei. So they're kind of like this wild card there that can interrupt everything and cause problems. So yeah, there's a lot coming to a head in that area right now. So many different things that could go on. But yeah, and then we have Arya heading towards King's Landing on while the war is kind of heading off towards the east where Dragonstone is. We have Arya the assassin coming down from the north. It's lots of stuff is falling into place. Lots of interesting things ahead of us. So yeah, very excited. One of the best season openers that Game of Thrones has ever had, if not the best.
Right. Yeah. I would agree with that. I mean, I said that at the beginning of the conversation. I stand by it. So yeah, that was amazing. Watch the video. Watch the video.
Watch the video where we talk about the cold open.
We spoiled the whole thing. So hopefully you watched the episode before you watch the video or listen to this. Actually.
And if you didn't, then tell us why the hell not.
Exactly.
But that's it for our episode. So last thing we got to do is go over what's coming up in the week ahead. So today, Friday, July 21st, 2017, Ozark. It's a new series with Jason Bateman in it. Comes to Netflix. Then on Monday, July 24th, 2017, Midnight Texas. This is from the writer of True Blood. Comes to NBC. Somewhere Between comes to ABC. And People of Earth returns to TBS. And then on Friday, July 28th, 2017, Room 104 comes to HBO, and The Last Tycoon comes to Amazon. That's about F. Scott Fitzgerald, I believe. Lots of stuff coming up, but the one that we were all waiting for is here.
Right. Yep, definitely.
So until next week, you can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will on Twitter. He's at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as our site, TVEnthusiast.com. Check out, you can subscribe to the podcast through any major podcast client like iTunes or Pocket Cast. And the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel, as well as lots of other stuff. Our YouTube channel, like we said, like we keep saying, we did a video where we talk about the Arya cold open. That's up there on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Night.
Good night.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset@TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more